You are listening to
Hey, me, no mind.
with show host Wood.
Peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind video. Or this might be a podcast. I don't know what I'm going to do with this afterwards. But weekly, I want to check in with folks on some of the different series that I'm following. So this will be another discussion on Starz Originals, Counterpart. And it looks like we're at episode 7, season 2. The name of the episode or title is No Strings Attached. So let's get into it. I got a couple of thoughts that I'll put out here and try to keep this one a little bit short. I actually wrote down some thoughts today, so hopefully that keeps me from rambling on a little bit. But no strings attached, as I mentioned just a second ago. First of all, let's get to the major developments, get those out of the way. One thing that we see is throughout this one and increasingly is that Claire is second guessing her role in Indigo and continuing and whether or not to continue or second guessing continuing to carry out Mira's instructions. We keep seeing her in deep thought, and she's not really running an operation right now or running anyone. So I'll get more into that, my issue with this in a minute. But that's one development. Claire is softening up a little bit. Second major development is that Spencer and his team have some kind of biological warfare weapon it's being staged. I guess this is in conjunction with the request for the meeting with all of management by Mira and her announcement at the end of episode 6 that she was willing to turn herself in with Yannick and with the request that the crossing be closed forever. The third development is that Quell is out at the OI, the Office of Interchange. So this brings us to the question, is Claire expendable now because she doesn't have this direct access to one of the best assets that Indigo had in Quell, as being compromised the way that he was with his secretary Miller, but now is Claire expendable? And by Quell no longer being the director at OI, is she just collateral damage? If Quell needs to be terminated, and there's no issue with her being gone too, if she happens to be with Quell. So that's kind of the big developments that I picked up on. There are a couple other things that happen. If you want to think those are major, have major ramifications to the storyline, but those are the three for me. Getting into it, my thoughts on or reaction to the episode. This season isn't horrible, but it's what's going on and kind of some of the stuff I'm getting ready to get into, the talking points I'm getting ready to get into. It's dropped Counterpart down from being must-see television for me at the moment. It's still continuing to track pretty well on IMDb. I think this episode, No Strings Attached, right now is sitting at 8.3, I believe. Do I still have that pulled up? But the other episodes are trending, 8.3. The other episodes are hanging out around 8.2 to 8.5, and only last week's Twin Cities episode where we saw the whole origin of the crossing. That one was like at 9.3 or something, or 9.2. That was the only one that's that high. But in overall, I mean, it's doing very well. And like I said, it's still a solid show. I still want to see how things play out. but it's just not must-see television for me right now. It's kind of this one I watched the episode a day or two later. I had some stuff going on, and I just caught it on demand. But I'm not glued to to my couch on Sunday nights to watch the show. I'm a little frustrated with what's going on. So let's get into some of those things, some of the frustration. Howard Alpha hasn't gotten in the ball game as a character, and Emily Alpha in our world, she's still piecing together whatever she had going, whatever operation she was running prior to losing her memory. She's still putting things together. So we're not getting any answers out of Emily, and we're not getting too much out of Howard, as he might just be reeling from the realization of what's going on, and the fact that he was taken into custody. He was at this dark site. He just looks to be in shock in general. And now in this one, he leaves at the end with Emily, and now he's been shot. So if you look down in a couple of the upcoming episodes, you see some mentions of Howard where maybe he gets in the game over the last few episodes, but he's basically just been a dead end, or just a bad, if social media parlance, he's been a horrible follow. If his contribution to this season was looked at as in terms of a Twitter account to follow, he'd be a boring follow this year. The other thing is Howard Prime, who is a mover and shaker, is pretty much has been confined to a desk this whole entire season. He's not making any interesting moves. He had the moment earlier in the show with early in the season with Baldwin, but that's been about it. That's been about it. That's when Baldwin took out the team that he didn't want her to take out. He just wanted Lambier gone. But Howard Prime is basically a horrible follow this season. Peter Quayle is in an impossible situation because love is love. His wife is all tied up in this thing, and he has a daughter with her. A daughter named after another man that she hadn't seen in 5 to 10 years, that she let smash on their couch in the Quayle home. But Peter Quayle is just, he's tied down pretty much, or boxed in. Claire is not running any major operation at the moment. It's like whatever all the shots that she was calling in season 1, she's basically a housewife this year. And it looks like, the operations have been handed off to Spencer, who we just came to learn about. Another thing, we didn't even see Mira this episode. So we don't even know what was going on with her, which is, I hate when they do that. When they have a big tease like that with her setting up this meeting, and then in the next episode, you don't even see her at all. But anyway, another issue here is Mira, I'm saying it right here, Mira transmits that she's turning herself in, and then we don't even see her and Yannick for the entire episode. So again, I've been talking about the pacing has been a little off this season, in my opinion, and this is kind of another example of it. She sets something important in motion, and we see the older management people. We see them now discussing, how to address or respond to Mira's invitation. But that just happened at the beginning of the episode, and then we don't see any more. We don't see any further interaction among the management. So that was another point of consternation for me. And then Naya Temple, she's mixing it up pretty well, and she has this dragnet out there, and she was brought in to disrupt everything and a new set of eyes, be a new set of eyes and everything. So The one thought that I had here is we see that Temple is a Muslim or of the Islamic faith. And I don't know if this is a little bit of Hollywood or just TV, but this is the second show in a row. If you caught Amazon's Jack Ryan, Wendell Pierce was also he was Muslim in that show, and it's almost like they're going out of their way or suggesting that they're going out of their way to show Islam in like the opposite of being the terrorists or the terrorist factor in the storyline. If you saw, Jack Ryan, Pierce was instrumental in chasing down the baddie in that one, and he was the boss of Jack Ryan. He was kind of the shot caller in what the moves that they would make, and where they would how they would go about bringing that show to bringing the guy to justice, basically. And now here, like I said, Nia Temple, she's kind of being the source of the correcting presence or something, here, and she's Muslim. So I don't know. It just seems like right now, obviously actors and actresses of Middle Eastern descent or have that look, if you will, it's a lot of job security for them right now, because a lot of the shows that are out there right now have some kind of terrorist angle around them. It's pretty common right now. So I just noticed that little detail about Nia Temple. Let's move on though. So like I said, the storyline has just started to slow down to a point where it's giving me a lot of time to look for plot holes and question, a myriad of things. Whereas last season, I felt like the pacing was superb, and you just kind of were looking for the next clue. You were looking for the next reveal. And that's another thing, if I can break off my script for a minute. We had, with the exception of the Twin Cities episode when we got the origin of the crossing, we really haven't seen that awesome reveal that we got last year when we learned that Shadow and Claire were Peter Quell's wife. I remember last year how they did that, and when it went, I don't know, they were showing Quell going into the kitchen or something in their house, and then he goes and embraces Claire, who we had seen Claire do some, she was interacting with the mercenary Baldwin, and that just blew my mind. We haven't seen anything like that this year. Not just like I said, Twin Cities was an entire 50-something minute episode, and you just got immersed in that whole world or that time period of that episode, and it was awesome. But just in a regular episode, just a big moment, we really haven't had that this year in Counterpart. But like I said, it's still a good show. I'm just struggling with what's going on with where it is right now. But things are picking up. Just a couple more points here before I get out of here. Are they showing us Ian Shaw's background to foreshadow that he was going to be an easy flip to work against management in the Prime world because he lost his life as Wesley Pierce when he was in our world? Or the real world. What are they doing these flashbacks on him for? Is it anything beyond the fact that he just acted against the gentleman who was kind of the guy that we knew that was representing management in the Prime world? Or is there a deeper angle for Ian Shaw? He's another one. He had a bigger role last year. Right now, he comes in very, spotty appearances. So that's my question with him. Is there something more to his background story and the gentlemen and the guys that they showed who set him up? Who what did they say? They bargained him off to the other world for whatever, for some future leverage or something. I don't know. Is that a new group of guys that we need to be concerned about that they showed when Ian Shaw's wife, was laying at the bottom of those steps? Only 2 more points here. Why is management after Emily when they gave her the assignment to track down Mira in the first place? Is it just because she's not checking in, as they were pretty serious about, they wanted to be updated in a timely manner, and she hasn't lived up to that? So that, and 2 more thoughts there. They kept showing us these cameras as if management was watching everything and management was like a big brother type presence in earlier episodes. But we're seeing that, well, we know management knows something, and they knew of Mira, obviously, with the whole backstory of Yannick. But it's odd that nobody of significance went to the dark site Echo after dozens of folks were slaughtered, in that raid that Mira had, where she got Yannick and she got, and then, left with Yannick. And it just seems like it was no big deal. But if Yannick, the importance of Yannick, you would have thought that some kind of team would have been there picking up clues. You would have thought that a team would have even been en route, although the guy did shut the cameras off when the raid started. But that's a very loose part of the plot to me, that this major breakout happened and there was the only person who stumbled upon it really was Emily. And then Emily and Howard Silk, or the first Howard Alpha, they spend nearly the entire episode looking around or standing around this empty dark site with all of these bodies, and nothing really happens. It took Ian and the other brother forever to get there. So like I said, the pacing is just very weird. Then also here at this same point, why didn't Mira and her team carry off the OI office guy who had Howard Alpha sent to Echo? That seemed a little sloppy, or like maybe she doesn't care because she was getting ready to try to pull this meeting off, so there was nothing else to hide. There was no longer a need to be for them to be as clandestine or whatever. I don't know, but it just seems like they would have carried the guy's body away because it was so easy to tie in what was happening and that they were compromised. Just like Nia Temple points out in the boardroom meeting, we're cool here as long as something she said about we're not really concerned about foxes being in the hen house. We're just more focused on maintaining the loyalty in here. That's what's more important rather than us getting to the bottom of really what's going on. So maybe that's it. I don't know. And then lastly, the team led by Spencer. The one thing, like I said, I'm starting to look at the different issues or potential plot holes here. How exactly do they expect to pull off this terrorist act and get away as Spencer? I think Spencer mentioned something about going home. We can do whatever we need and then we can leave this miserable world or something. There's only one interchange. There's only one crossing. So we don't know where this meeting is really going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be on the 4th floor of the OI or somewhere else. I don't know. They were just getting to that when Peter Quayle left. But that's just the one thing here. And I mean, my one detail in general is like, it's not like there are multiple access points. When they talk about this smuggling, how did all of this stuff happen over years And maybe it was just a 30-year thing to where, maybe a handful of people were, passed over through over the course of 10, 15 years. But again, once they get to the other side, like, how does that record disappear that this person came over and they never returned and they never checked the books to see, we got like 30 names here that are unaccounted for. That's the one thing that's, if we get, like I said, if the story slows down and I have time to think about it, how did all of these pieces move over and nobody ever went back? Because they killed their echoes, right? Except Lambeer, he was the one that was living with his echo. But most of them killed their echoes and did away with them. So of course, it didn't disrupt anything in our world. But like I said, there's still a journal here or a database or something that said this person went through and has never, has never returned. But I guess I should just believe that they had the books cooked or the system cooked somehow, to pull it all off. But that, like I said, the action has somewhat slowed down this year, and I'm just thinking it through, and some holes out there. But anyway, that's all I got this week. I still went a little long. Damn, 20 minutes. Still went a little long, but like I said, it's a lot to take in. It's a complicated show, and like I said, it is still enjoyable, but just a lot different type of action from what we saw in season 1. Again, my name is Wood. Thanks for checking out the video. If you like the breakdowns, feel free to leave a comment. Hit that like button for me. That's very important. Please subscribe to the channel. Come back and check in. I'm getting ready to jump into True Detective. HBO's True Detective. To be honest with you, I'm up to speed on it. I've watched it weekly, but this might be the first week to where we really got some real meat to chew on. The show has just kind of been slowly building, and really wasn't a lot to talk about in my opinion. But now it looks like it's cooking a little bit, so maybe I'll drop a clip out there on that. And that's it. Like I said, let me get on out of here. Peace.